I just had my first ever big-scale museum exhibition, and this is how it went. Hey everyone, my name is Esther Franchuk and I'm a professional artist, abstract painter, and in this vlog I want to share with you what went into setting up an exhibition in the museum and what it meant for me. But before we dive into it, make sure to subscribe and hit notification bell so you will not miss any of the new videos. So a little bit of the backstory. Once I started really getting into Artists Union here and local exhibitions, I got invited to be part of the 4 women exhibitions that actually is hosted in the National Regional Museum, which is kind of a big deal. And I immediately agreed to that. I'm like, yes, let's do it. But then the organization went a bit spontaneous and things were just not coming together ahead of time. And I'm really a planning person, so for me it's really hard when I don't know the deadline, I don't know when it's actually happening, what is happening, what I can do, how many paintings to prepare, how much space I have to fill up. And as it also was getting closer to my due date, I'm like, I really don't know if I can do it anymore, just because of all of the puzzle pieces were arranging literally last minute. And I almost canceled it a couple days before because I was just really overwhelmed and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. It's like 2-3 weeks before my due date. I'm really tired, I'm super pregnant, it's last month. So I was just really having all kind of feelings and emotions about that. But in the same time, I knew it's a really important step in my career and I would really regret if I would not do it. So I put myself together and I went with it, and I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna have expectations, and if it is like that and things have to come and puzzle up all together last moment, it's totally fine. That's just how life sometimes goes. And as an artist, you have to be really open to opportunities that come to you and don't put your ego or your comfort sometimes above the systems and how things work, especially when you're invited somewhere, and it will just propel you a lot more in your career if you would be open to shift and changes when it's necessary. So one day before the exhibition, we gathered all of our paintings. Paul packaged them really well that they can travel well, and our friend Harris helped us to drive to the museum. We brought all of the paintings to the museum day before, and we were arranging the exposition with a curator and just seeing what kind of room they will go to, on which walls, what kind of flow they would have, because it's a body of work, but they have different color palettes, different sizes. So it was really interesting actually just to see that it's not so easy. It's a completely different job, almost to know how paintings going to look together well when they're exhibited in the space, because it's not just 1-2 paintings at a time on someone's wall or a collector's house, but it's actually 15-17 paintings that it had to come together and have a story all together, and they have to move and flow through the walls. The eye has to travel not within one painting but across all exposition. And it was really interesting and empowering to see the whole room filled with just your art, and also the possibilities, because museum walls is something completely different. And I always say I want to paint big, I want to create this dramatic, huge, monumental pieces, but then every time I have it in my wall, it's they seem big in the studio, and then I enter museum and I'm like, I guess I have to paint even bigger. So that has been another just encouragement and just illustration of how much my vision is still bigger of what I'm capable of produce and where I'm heading to, what are my career goals. So that was really, really cool. Just mapping out the initial composition, seeing what works in the space. It's one thing I realized to create just one piece at a time. It's a whole another thing to just think of artworks having a concept together in the space. It's kind of interesting to see how when you need to fill a room and you have to think okay, where you need to have different color palettes going on or transitioning in between walls and from space to space. It's not just one piece at a time anymore, it's actual concept. And when you work with other artists also you have to see what works together, color-wise, style-wise, next to each other. So we are in the process process of mapping out initial organization composition of where things go, and I actually think of how small my sizes are, because they're like, do you have something bigger? I'm like, I do, I didn't bring it to this specific one, but it's like, I have to apparently paint even bigger to exhibit in museums.
And you're painting bigger though. You start painting bigger.
I am, but it's like, it's always like, for museums you need bigger paintings, but then to transport them in like this small town on this like funny old school roads, it's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So it's a skill. So we basically arranged the exposition, decided where things would go to, and later on the museum workers were responsible for actually hanging the artwork, so we just went home. And the next day it was the big opening. We arrived a little bit before the opening because there was some press and there were interviews going on. It was me and 3 other female artists. We call the exhibition Greensleeves or April in Square. It makes a little bit more sense in Ukrainian. English translation, I feel like not quite portraying like what we're trying to say, but it's like April in Square because it's end of April and there's 4 artists and they're all women. So it's like a quartet, so to say, and all of the themes are about spring and they're really feminine, serious of work in a really different way. And we all together were put in an exhibition, and each woman has their own like space in the museum, like different room, and you would like move through the rooms and just see like different styles and different approaches to art, but it will be all connected with one theme. So we were just doing last preparation also, making sure all of the descriptions and captions on the walls are matching. I gave an interview and everyone else as well. That was like a really smooth beginning of the evening. Then I actually didn't know I had to give a speech alongside others, and nobody really knew besides the curators and that we have to give speeches and like talk a little bit about my art, and that was a little bit more challenging even than everything else, because I was like, every time when I need to speak publicly, it's like, it's one thing to speak on YouTube or like when it's recorded and a little bit edited. It's a completely different feeling when you have a crowd of people in front of you and you realize like, okay, I have one take on like whatever I want to say, whatever I want to like convey with my words about my art, about my life, my journey, what it means for me. And it's really emotional and my art is really personal to me. But I also just like, I don't have a second take, I couldn't repeat, I couldn't change how I narrate. So it was really another point of growth that I realized I really have to work on, because I do want to make an impact in this world and I want to talk about my art. I have so much to share about it. And those opportunities when you're actually able to speak to people in person and to a big crowd, it's like, it's great opportunities, and you don't want to just back up because you like lose your words or you're not accustomed to that. So I managed, and at some point I didn't know what to say and I got really nervous, but the room was really encouraging. They just clapped and they understood that I'm pregnant, I guess, and I have just hard time sometimes to communicate, but that was all went really good and smooth, and I was able to really share from my heart what it meant for me to be there, to be part of this exhibition. It's my very first exhibition of that kind of scale. I wasn't even thinking I could do something like this that early in my art career, because it just, I mean, it's a national museum. It holds work of artists that have been renowned and just generations of artists from this whole region. It's regional museum. So I didn't know like I even would fit, or I would just come to that point where I could share such a space. And it was truly a big honor, and I just really loved the atmosphere and everything that was happening in the room. Also the main artist union, like director, especially pointed me and my work, which was like another thing, because before, if you follow my vlogs, you heard probably that it was really hard for me to attend some exhibition. I felt not like fully seen or accepted in some, but it was just so encouraging to see that it's really not personal, and as long as you put all your heart and you really produce and you work and you try hard and you don't give up, like it's going to be shown. You're going to get the recognition that you are striving for just because you are not giving up and you keep going. So that was really a different perspective angle for me, because I just was able to see that all of these things in between where I felt like defensive, or like I don't know how I'm like accepted in this art world, like should I pursue it any further, like I felt uncomfortable. I just was able to see it as such small nuggets of just my personal perception in the moment of things, and not as a full truth. And the full truth is just comes from working hard, doing your best, and really honoring and respecting people and systems within the art world, which is something I never thought before. So I was just really happy that I pursued these opportunities, that I didn't back up, that I really went with the plan and with my commitment, and I attended this, and this just was so much more better than I expected. I didn't have expectation, and expectations just were like so much better than what I thought it would be. The whole event was just full of love and light, and just so many people came and so many people like complimented on my work, and it's always a completely different feeling to see like people look at your work in person under the light and the impression it makes on them. Also, so many people told me like my art was their favorite even, or once they enter like this whole room that was filled with my art, and you immediately it's me. It matched like in mood and color, and just also this like sweet expectancy, and me being pregnant, like many of these things I can feel they were connected, and they just like cheer me up and congratulated me. And it was just so different from when you like, I love getting all of the comments and all of the feedback online on social media, but doing physical events is something on a completely different level that impacts you just in a different way. So if you're an artist, I would highly encourage you to pursue those opportunities if you have them, because it will just elevate your career in a completely different way you're probably not even thinking. Because it's not always about immediate sales and exchange of money, but it is a really deep personal exchange, and you're just learning about how to talk about your art, how to host this kind of events, and how to connect to people. And this kind of experiences are truly invaluable. So just to recap these days, it ended up being one of the most meaningful experiences in my whole art career and in my life. And I almost missed on that by just some organizational lacks, not feeling confident, not liking that things are taking place last moment and are not fully organized. But it was so amazing, and I just went out from the museum so filled of just this feeling of opportunities and what else can come out of it, and it was really impactful. So if you're an artist, I hope this story encourages you to pursue these opportunities, even if they seem scary and overwhelming. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next video.